So hello everyone, welcome to Databricks SQL Week. This is the day one for Databricks SQL Week presented by Databricks User Group Noida. So throughout this week, we're going to cover up all the basics to advance of SQL, and we will also understand the bits of Databricks, what exactly Databricks is, why do we use Databricks, what are the different ways of using SQL inside it, and also a high level of architecture of Databricks, how Databricks functions. Throughout this session, we will also talk about what are the different type of databases, data warehouses, data lakes, what is OLAP, what is OLTP. So all these things we are going to cover up in this session. If you have any friends who have not joined yet, I would strongly recommend you to call them up in this session. All these sessions are going to be recorded. You will get all these sessions on YouTube. So if you have your friends or you have missed some past session or you want to continue with us, so you can just continue with us and watch our previous sessions or the sessions which you have missed later. So without further ado, let's quickly get into the content. Okay. Hope you all are able to see my notebook. Just give a thumbs up. I would be okay. Cool. Thanks. So without getting into much of details, I would like you all to understand what are the things which we are going to cover today. We are going to cover exactly what exactly SQL is, what is OLAP, what is OLTP, what is databases, and why we are studying this SQL today. All right. So before getting into all these things, Databricks, SQL, and any other stuff, I would like you to just imagine with me, think of an application like Amazon, think of an application like WhatsApp, think of some other applications, any of the application which you are using and storing information. So whatever the application we use, that has some database at the backend which stores the information. For example, in Amazon, I am ordering something. Let's suppose I have ordered a monitor. Okay, so what my order information, my personal information, all these information are getting stored into the database. Okay, so in order to communicate with those databases, the language which we use is called as SQL. All right, so you can understand it like this, like whenever we have an application and we have a database which is storing all this information in the backend. So to create the database, to communicate with the database, the language which we use is called as SQL. Okay, so SQL stands for Structured Query Language. I'm going with the very basic. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Okay, and this language is used to communicate with databases. And database is something where we use to store information related to order or any something. Okay, so let's quickly get into what exactly data is and what are databases. So yeah, my team has given an example. Instagram stores your post, bank stores your transaction record, Amazon stores product information, Netflix stores watch history, everything, whatever we are doing on the internet, everything is getting tracked and everything is getting stored. So the place where all these informations are getting stored is some sort of database. There could be different type of databases. We will discuss about these in our later points. Okay. So what is data? I think this is not something I need to explain you all. You all know whatever we are doing on internet, that everything is getting stored into the databases. So every activity is getting stored. Now question comes, why data is important? So all of you are using ChatGPT, all of you are using Gemini, all of you are using applications. So see, when we talk about an application like Amazon, for Amazon our data is important because we need to revisit the information. We need to store those informations because we need to revisit the information. We need to see the updates on the particular information. Consider an example, we have ordered something on Amazon, right? I have ordered a shoe. I want to see the status. I want to see the price. On later point of time, I want to see, okay, if this is under warranty or not. So all those information I need to see and revisit later. That's why we need to store the data. that is for a specific application, right? To use that application, we need to store data. But data is not only limited to a specific application. We require data for further more analysis. So you all are using Gemini, you all are using ChatGPT. So all these are LLMs, large language models. These language models are trained on data. There could be structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data. So these language models are trained on those data. Okay, I talked about why LLMs require data, why we used to store data in databases. Now think of yourself as a CEO of a company, or let's suppose you have a shop and you are the owner of that particular shop, and okay, and you are using a software where you selling the products. Now you want to see the trend. Okay, how many products I have sold. Okay, that is not directly related to user interaction, but it is something which you as a owner of the shop is analyzing to understand the trend, how that particular product of my store is performing, right? So you are using that particular data to analyze the pattern and get through the information. So I think I don't need to further push why specifically data is important. Now coming to the types of data, there are multiple types of data, to be very honest, if I talk about, but on a very high level, there are three major type of data. One is structured data, second one is semi-structured data, third is unstructured data. So structured data is SQL tables, Excel sheets, CSVs. So all these are structured data. Now you would ask how I know these are structured data. So anything which can be stored in rows and columns, that should be called as structured data. So we are storing information inside the Excel sheet that is getting stored into the rows and columns. That is structured data. We are storing information inside the SQL tables that is getting stored into the form of rows and columns. So that is in structured data. Now coming to semi-structured data. So you might have seen the JSONs, right? JSON structures, XML structures, or some different sort of structures like JSON, nested JSON. So there are a couple of semi-structured data types. Let me just ask Ginny to give you a JSON example. So it will show you the structure of how JSON looks like. So yeah, you can see this is how the JSON looks like. So this is a kind of nested JSON. Here you can see we have a single, even for the ID, we are repeating this ID word multiple times, and then we are storing the information. Then we have name, then we have salary. So anything which is structured, but not in the form of rows and columns, and we are storing information, that is called as semi-structured data. Last, that is called as unstructured data. So unstructured data are majorly videos, images, audios. Whatever these are the binary files which we can't store in the form of rows and columns. We can't store them in the form of a structured data, as I shown in the example of JSON. That is called as unstructured data. Okay. Most of the time, 99%, not 99, but 90% of the time when we are using SQL, we are going to interact with the structured data. Structured data stands for data which is stored in the form of rows and columns in SQL tables, Excels, CSVs. Okay, so then we are going to use SQL. But in couple of cases, we will also use SQL to interact with the semi-structured data. The standard SQL does not support interacting with the semi-structured data, but if you know about Snowflake and Databricks also in some sort of things, they all support interacting with the semi-structured data with the help of SQL. Okay, but the standard SQL which we use in MySQL, SQLite, Oracle, they don't support directly interacting with the semi-structured data. They are majorly used to interact with the structured data. Hope this is clear so far. Any questions, guys? Okay. Feel free to drop your questions.
Yeah, can you zoom the screen a little bit?
Okay, sure. Let me put it on full screen mode. Hope this is fine. Okay. So guys, please post your queries in the chat box. If there would be something I can take up, my team would help me to know, and I will take that up. All right. So we have covered about the importance of data. What are the different types of data? Now we need to understand what exactly is big data. As the name suggests, when data is big, that is called as big data. But why, what big data is? So whenever we say data is big, there should be three characteristics or there should be three parameters on which we judge if the data is big. First, the volume of data should be huge. Okay. And the speed on which we are getting the data should be also high. For example, I'm getting 10 million transactions per day on my system. Okay. So that is a high speed data. I mean, there are so many rows getting inserted into the database on a single day. So that is high speed. Of course, different formats. My data could be in structured way. My data could be in semi-structured. My data could be even in semi-structured. It could be JSON. It could be XML. It could be Parquet. If you talk about unstructured data, it could be video. It could be image. It could be audio. It could be anything. All right. So when there is a high volume of data, when there is a huge velocity of data, when there are different formats of data, that is called as big data. Most of you might have heard, if not, big data is called as big data when it has a characteristic of 3V. 3V stands for velocity, volume, and variety. If we have three V's, then we can consider it as big data. And even either of these, we can consider it as big data. But of course, volume should be high. This is one of the major parameters which we take when we are dealing with the big data. And there is nothing sort of thing that it is big data, it is not big data. I mean, there is no specific classification like, okay, this is apple, this is mango. So there is nothing like this is big data, this is not big data. Okay. Now, data life cycle. Guys, am I lagging? Please, no, you're not lagging. Okay, okay, okay. Cool. Thanks. Thanks for the update, guys. Okay, let me just again jump back. Okay, so let's discuss about the data lifecycle. See, the basic agenda of the session was to get into the SQL, but before getting into the SQL, I would like you all to understand why data is important and why we are here to, learn SQL, which is, I would say, the language in which we talk to data. But it is not something very required when you are only going to deal with the SQL in terms of backend engineering or some sort of other things. But if you are going into data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, AI ML engineer, Gen AI engineer, so all these places you need to understand the data lifecycle and different kind of data formats and all. So let's quickly get into the data lifecycle. So data lifecycle, how should I explain you guys? See, before getting into the data lifecycle, I will take this later. Let's get into the databases. So I have already explained that we store data there, we retrieve data, we manage data. Now, what is DBMS? So I know you all are in college and you must know DBMS stands for Database Management System. So where we store our data, manage our data, that is called as DBMS. And there are a couple of examples: MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, SQL Server. Okay, so these are called as databases, database management systems where we can manage our data. Now, in terms of data, we have rows and columns. Okay, let me just show you, or let me just try to query something. Select star from it's taking quite some time. Do we have any table here? Okay, select star from e-commerce categories. Don't get into this query. I just wanted to explain you how data looks like. So just leave it as, forget it for now. It will take some time. Before getting into the keys, I want you to explain how data looks like. You can take an example of Excel, how we have rows and columns. That is a very good example of data. I can't draw it in this notebook. Should I get into the Excel? Okay, it will. I think it will execute in just a couple of seconds. This is a trial account, so it's taking quite some time. Okay, yeah. So here you can see we have categories data. Don't get into the data, just see. We have one field as ID, we have one field as name, we have one field as slug, we have description, we created and updated it. So you can see we have data stored in form of rows, in form of columns. All right. Now think of your attendance register. Okay, an attendance register. Think of your classroom. In your classroom, there could be two students of name Akash, two students of name Harshit, right? In your classroom, there could be two Harshit Kesharwani, two Akash, two Rajiv, and other peoples as well. So there is no unique identifier. For example, in your classroom, I came and I called Harshit stand up. So if there are two Harshit, both of them will stand up. So there is no way I can identify if they are unique. So you all must know there was a concept of roll number. We all have a roll number, which is our unique identifier. Okay, that in class 6, roll number 9 belongs to Harshit A, roll number 10 belongs to Harshit B. All right. So there used to be a roll number which was our unique identifier. That okay, this roll number is allotted to Harshit and this roll number does not belongs to any other person. Similarly, in the databases, if we allot a specific key, or similarly in the databases, if there is a unique key which is unique to that particular person, we called it as primary key. Not exactly primary key, we called it as unique key. And out of all those unique key, we call one key as primary key. Okay, let me re-explain. In your classroom, there are two Harshit. Okay, for both of the Harshit, mobile number would be different. Okay, for both of these two Harshit, roll number would be different. But we can keep any of these fields as primary key. But mostly what we do, we keep roll number as primary key. Why we don't keep mobile number as primary key? Let's suppose there is a student who does not have mobile. He does not have a mobile number. So how come we will identify that particular student? So that's why we keep those unique fields as primary keys which have unique property and they are non-nullable. I repeat, they are non-nullable. Okay, so they can't be null. So that's why we always keep roll number as primary key for the student register. Similarly, in the databases and tables, we keep one key as primary key to identify that particular row as unique. So if I want to identify this particular row as unique, I would call, okay, in category table, I want to go to row 107. This will give us the idea that I want to go into this specific row. Hope everything is clear so far. You understand the difference between the unique key and primary key. key, primary key. Clear? Okay. Okay. So we are clear with the information of primary key and unique key. And generally, we call those unique keys as candidate keys as well. Here, if you can see, a column that uniquely identifies rows can become a primary key. Email ID is, of course, for every student. Email ID would be unique. So this is called as, okay. Now there is a concept of foreign key. So for foreign key, let me just get into Excel now. I think I need to. Okay. Let's take one table name as student. Okay. And let me just pull up here. Let me just give roll number. Okay. Let me just name, and here let me just give the details of class. Roll number 1, 𝗓𝘁𝗍𝗃, class 10th, 2, ABC, class 9, 3, XYZ, and let's suppose here classes 7. Okay, so before I get into other details, I want all of you to answer me what would be the primary key in this table. I have explained so far, so what would be the primary key of this table? Roll number, roll number, roll number. Okay, perfect. Roll number would be the primary key. Now, there is another table, okay? Another table is class. Okay. Here we have class number, or yeah, we can call it a class number, classroom number, okay, class teacher name. Okay. Here we have 1, 2, 3. Okay. And we have classroom. Let's suppose classroom is on first floor, which keeps changing. Like your classroom is on first floor. Think it of as your college. Okay, college classroom. Your college classrooms keep on changing. Okay. Someone said that class also could be primary key. Okay. For you, Ranveer, let's suppose there is another student named Ranveer. Okay. He is also studying in class 10th. Now, how I will identify from class that he is specifically Ranveer, he is not 𝗓𝘁𝗍𝗃, right? So class could not be a unique identifier. Roll number could be a unique identifier. Now let me just get into this. Yeah. First floor, room number 404, and so on. Like consider it as 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we have this, and then we have class teacher name. Let's suppose A is the class teacher name, and 𝗓𝗗𝗧𝗐. Okay, so there are different class teacher names here. Okay. We have different class teachers here. Now I want to, okay, class teacher name, okay. Okay. Now I want to know the class teacher of 𝗓𝗁𝗧. Who is class teacher of 𝗓𝗁𝗧? Who is class teacher of 𝗓𝗏𝗏? Okay. Now I want to know the class teacher of 𝗓𝗁𝗧 and 𝗓𝗏𝗏. How I will know? This is one table, this is another table. Okay. Now I want to understand who is class teacher of 𝗓𝗁𝗧. I'll leave it. I want to understand in which class 𝗓𝗁𝗧 should go to class. Okay. So here we have class. Okay. Here we have class number. So if you will notice, class number and class both are of numeric type and they are interrelated. Okay. Basically, this should be class number. Okay. Both are interrelated. So from this 𝗓𝗁𝗧, I will put a join to this class number. Okay. I will join these two columns. And from these two columns, I will match this. Okay, 𝗓𝗁𝗧 10th, room number 413. For 𝗓𝗏𝗏 10th, room number 413. For ABC, room number 9, class number 9, 412. Okay, got it? So here in the student table, okay, before getting into it, guys, can you answer what would be the primary key in this class table? Okay, perfect. Class number, of course, class number would be primary key. Perfect. Thank you for your participation, guys. Yeah, class number would be primary key. Now, in the student table, class number would be foreign key because we are connecting to the class table using the primary key of class table. Okay, let me reiterate. So in any table, if we have the primary key of another table, which we are using to connect to it, is called as foreign key. Is it clear? If it is not, just say it. Okay, I think it is not clear to all. Clear. If anybody have any confusion, just drop me into DM as well if you're not comfortable sharing it here, or into the Q&A section. Do you want me to repeat or should I go ahead? Okay. Assuming everybody understand how this relation works. Okay, let me just okay, for now it's clear. Let me just go back to notebook then. So yeah, a key is used to create relationship between two tables. It refers to the primary key of other table. So that is called as foreign key. Candidate key we have already talked about. Composite key. Okay. So let's take the example of composite key or the example of primary key again. Let me again get back to Excel. This is going to be interesting, guys. Okay. Now, this is my student table. Okay. This is 𝗓𝗁𝗧. This is class. This is this. Now, there is again a person with roll number 1 whose name is Rajiv, and he is studying in class 11. This is the table. Now tell me, guys, what would be the primary key here in student table? Come on, try it. Now tell me what would be the primary key. Consider it as a student registered for complete school. Okay, primary key is roll number. Anybody else? Name maybe? Okay. Manja is saying combination of roll number and class. Okay. Roll number. Guys, I want response from all 22. Please. Let's keep it interactive. Roll number. If you don't understand, just answer no, I don't know, or anything. Okay. Okay. All right. So here, the primary key would be the combination of roll number and class. Manja, you are correct. Because whomsoever is saying roll number, we can't, use roll number field to uniquely identify the student. Because you can see here the roll number for Harshit and Rajiv, both are same, right? But their class is different. And the first and the foremost property of primary key is it should be unique. So roll number is not at all unique. When we talk about class is also not unique. And there is also a possibility that no name would not be unique. Let's keep this guy as Rajiv. Okay. So here we will have to use a concept which is called as composite key. So when we combine two fields, and treat them as primary key, this is called as composite key. Simply combination of two fields is called as composite key. With unique properties, with uniqueness to identify the record, it is primary key. So when we have a combination of multiple columns to identify unique rows inside a table, that is called as composite key, and that composite key is called as primary key. That is clear, right? One more thing, guys, I want to understand. Anybody here who is unable to understand Hindi? Anyone here? Okay. Assuming सबको हिंदी आता है. Okay. All right. Let me just get back to the board. So, guys, hope you all are with the concept of keys. Cool. We have already talked about unique key. Unique key is something which can be null. Okay. So let's just revise with me. So first of all, we have primary key. Primary key is something which is the unique identifier for the table. It should be unique and it should be not null. Okay. Many people forget that it should be not null. Most of the people say, what is primary key? Primary key is a key which is unique inside the table. No. It should not be null as well. Okay. Then we have foreign key. Foreign key is the key which is associated with the another table, which helps us to refer to the another table, that is called as foreign key. Third, we have unique key. A unique key is something which is unique in its own. It could be null, it could not be null. Fourth, composite key, combination of two or more columns which can uniquely identify a table, that is called as composite key. Fifth, candidate key. A candidate key is a key which has a possibility to become primary key. So there could be multiple columns inside a table which have possibility to become primary key. All those columns are called as candidate key. Clear? Cool. So we have covered about keys. Now let me just go back again to the notebook. Notebook. Here we go. Yeah. So, okay. So we have talked about all these keys. Now, what is a query? I think we will get into this later. So we have talked about data. We have talked about databases. We have talked about keys. Now let's get into SQL. I have already said SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is used to store, retrieve, update, delete, analyze data. It means it's a language which is the language to communicate with the databases. Okay, and SQL is used in every industry. I mean, there is no application which is storing your data and is not running on SQL. There is nothing literally which is not running on SQL across the globe. I mean, if it is storing your information, either way, even if it is unstructured data, it must be storing your user information. So that is also something which is related to SQL. Okay, so we talked about this SQL. Now let's talk about rows and columns and tables. So this is kind of unstructured. Let me get into what exactly table is. So think of a Excel sheet. Okay, think of a Excel sheet. Okay, inside an Excel sheet there are sheets: sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, and we can store the information in the form of rows and columns, right? So every sheet is a table. Every sheet is a table. Let me just call it as student table. Let me call it as class table. So every sheet is a table where we can store information in the form of rows and columns. Okay, and this complete worksheet, I mean, combination of all these sheets, A, sheet B, sheet C, sheet 3, 4, and all other sheets. Combination of all these sheets is a schema. Okay, so all these sheets are okay, and we keep all these sheets inside a workbook. That workbook is a schema. That workbook is a schema. Clear? What I want to say basically, inside a workbook, inside a schema, we can have multiple tables. We can have class table, we can have student table, we can have college table, we can have other tables as well. So inside a schema, we can have multiple tables. Like inside our Excel, we can have multiple sheets. Okay, clear? All right. Let me just jump back again. So yeah, we talked about table, rows, columns. Rows and columns you are already about know. Okay. Here we are talking about a different schema. Okay, so don't I would say get confused of the schema which I have talked about and what schema is written here. Both are called almost same, but both have a different definition. Okay, so here schema, basically the concept of schema is specific to, I would not say it is specific to database. Database. It is, I would say, inside the database there are multiple sections where we have different tables. Okay. So let's talk about what is schema here we are talking about. So you all have learned any language. You might have studied you might have studied C, you might have studied Java. So in all those languages, we have different type of data types. We have string, we have integer, we have float, we have boolean. So all those kind of data types are there. Similarly, in SQL, we have data types. So whatever the information we are storing, okay, all those information must be stored in certain format inside the table as well. So name should be stored in string, mobile numbers either could be stored as number or it could be stored as string. Then we have, for example, amount. Amount is a numeric field. It should be stored in float. It should be stored in numeric. So that is called as schema. Schema of a table is kind of structure of a table in which we have information like what is the table name, what are the data types. So here you can say a schema is a definition structure of a table. It includes column names, data types, and constraints. Constraints I will later talk about it. But for now you can understand in schema we define what is the table name, then what are the column names, and what are the data types. For example, we just spoke about the student table. In student table where there was a roll number. Okay, so roll number field would be integer. Name, of course, it would be string. Then there was class number. Class number could be integer, it could be string, right? So here we have different type of data which we're storing inside inside the table. So that is called a schema. All right. Now here the third thing is written constraints. What is this constraint? Anybody wants to answer? You can raise your hand and my team would help you to unmute. Or if you want, you can answer in the chat. Constraints are rules. Okay, yeah, constraints are rules. All right. Okay, rules. So if we talked about student table, okay. We talked about class table. Perfect. We talked about class table. So let's take example of a class table. Okay. In class table, we remember we called class number as primary key. Okay. Now let me just share that again. Inside the class table, we have class number. Okay. Now let's suppose this was maintained by some other person. I recently joined the company and I don't know. Let's suppose I recently joined this school and I don't know that the entry for class 10th already exists. I am creating another entry for class 10th and I'm saying now the classes will be in 414 room or 416 room. But it is a primary key and we already have an entry for class 10th. Okay. Now I'm again giving an entry for class 10th. If I will allow this, then when someone would be looking for the class of 𝗓𝘁𝗍, he would be confused. He need to go into 413 or he need to go into 416. So that's why there are a couple of rules which are put into the table so that the information which is beyond expectations should not get inserted, should not get updated, should not get deleted. So any kind of rule which we put inside the table that are called as constraints. Okay. Or take another example. Here someone entered that there is a classroom number that is 490 and for this class ABC is the class teacher. Okay, fine, there is a classroom which is 490 and ABC is the class teacher. But for which class it is the classroom? He left this particular class number field blank. So somebody would not be able to understand what exactly the class number is here, right? For which particular class the class 490 room is allocated to. So these kind of constraints that this field should not be null, this field should be unique. All these type of constraints all these kinds of rules are called as constraints. So when we define a table, we put all these kinds of rules. So schema is something where we define table name, we define data type, we define column name, then we define constraints. Clear है? Constraints क्या होते हैं? And why do we need constraints? And when we use constraints, so whenever we are defining a table, we put the constraints there. Cool. Okay, let me just share my another screen. Okay, hope screen is visible. Okay. We have talked about schemas, data types. Now, let's not get into data warehouses as of now. I will talk about it later. Also about the data lake, data warehouses, cloud computing distributed, Apache. Okay, I think this is pretty much. Let's get into the SQL first. Then on later point of time, I would talk about these data lake, data warehouses, databases, or I should go with it for now. Okay, yeah. So before getting into the data warehouses, data lake, spoke to you guys and I said we will talk about the data life cycle later. Now this is something which will explain you the role of data engineers, data analysts, data scientists. So many people are confused who are data scientists, who are data engineers, who are data analysts. So these are the people who are, I would say, deriving the complete data life cycle. Okay, so understand it very properly, and please stop me if you are confused anywhere. Okay, so let's again get to the Amazon. So Amazon, I ordered a shoe. I have all those information, order ID, store ID, price, and all other stuff. Cool. Now there is CEO of Amazon. Okay, the CEO of Amazon wants to know. Okay. Guys, before getting into the data life cycle, I just want to explain the constraints again. Someone just pinged me. So let me just go to the constraints again. So for constraints, constraint. Okay, let's again get into this. So constraints, as I said, these are the rules which we put during the creation of table. So as I was explaining, let's suppose there is a class table. Okay, this was my information before when I saved it first. Now this was maintained by Ankit. Okay, now there is another guy, Akash, joined the company, and he's adding a new class of class 10th. Sorry, this was the previous information. Now again Akash joined, and Akash is trying to put the information for class 10th here. Okay, so for the class 10th he was adding the information, but he was not aware of, or he forget to check that we already have information of class 10th inside our database. Now he was entering the information. If we allowed him to enter, okay, so someone who is looking for a classroom from class 10th, maybe Harshit, I'm looking for my class, whether I need to go, in which class I should go, where I will go for my lectures. So if I allowed Ankit to, update this particular database and allow to insert multiple values, not unique values inside the classroom, then he would have entered and Harshit would be looking for class. He will get confused whether he need to go into 413 or he need to go into 416. Okay. So for this particular case, I put a constraint that class number should be unique. So whenever Ankit would be inserting a new row with class 10th, it would be saying there already exists a row with class 10th, can't insert a row. Or let's suppose Ankit came in and he want to update the 413 class number to class 9th. Okay. He want to update the row number 413 and allocate it to class 9th. Okay. Now Ankit is going to update कि भाई let's update the 413 classroom to class 9. When he will run that query, again he will get the error, bro, there is already classroom 412 allocated to class 9th, or there already exists an entry for class 9th. He should update based on the primary key. He should not directly update based on the room number, right? So for all these, rules, we use constraints. Hope it is clear now. Okay, guys, I have an interesting question for you all. Tell me what all the constraints we need to put in the class table. What all the constraints should put in the class table? Okay, no, not to Vishnu, not like not null. We should put the constraint at the column level. So what constraint I should put in the class number, what constraint I should put in the class room number, what constraint I should put in the class teacher name, teacher name. If at all this is not required, not mention that column. Okay. So guys, please help me with what all the constraints I should put in the all these three columns. Class number should be unique. Okay, perfect. Primary should not be null and unique. Excellent. What else? What else? Think guys, think. Think of yourself as a principal of a school. Okay. Now you want to maintain a table for class. Think what all the informations we should not. Sorry, what all the rules we should put in this class. Class number should be unique. Anything else apart from class number should be unique because I have already covered it. Anything else, not specific to the databases, but for common sense. I mean, from common sense, what all other fields should we consider during, putting it on? Okay, I got one answer in my DM, and that is a really brilliant explanation. Okay, some people are still confused with the constraints. Please get through YouTube. You will find some interesting videos there. Okay, Vishnu, I got you. That is for the student register. I'm asking about what all the constraints we should put in the class table. Okay, so let me get through it. Nobody is trying, guys. Please, class number should not exceed 11. No. Okay. Let me answer it. First of all, class number should be unique. Second, it should not be null. You guys have already explained it. Third, if I'm principal of a class and I'm maintaining a class table where I'm assigning a room, okay, let's suppose for class 12, I made class number as 12 here. Okay, I made class number as 12. But what should be the class? There should be a classroom number, right? So there should also be a rule that classroom number cannot be, answer it at least. What classroom number should not be? Okay, it should not be same. Perfect. What else? It should not be null. Correct, Samiksha. It should not be null. It should not be same. So classroom numbers should also be unique and not null. Got it? Okay. Now if classroom number is unique, guys, this is going to be interesting. Okay, this is unique and not null. Okay, this is unique and not null. This is also unique and not null. Okay, this is unique and not null. This is also unique and not null. Fine. What about the class teacher? I'm assuming a single class teacher can be for 2 classes. But what constraint I should put here? For the class teacher, what should be the constraint? I have already explained. Harshit can be class teacher for 2 classes. Okay. Now tell me what it should, what I should put the constraint here. Do we need to put a constraint or not? Unique and maybe null. Unique, it should be not null. Correct. Manje, correct. It should not be null because I said, yeah, as I said, a class teacher can manage both class simultaneously. Correct. Now tell me, you guys are brilliant. Literally, you guys are brilliant. So you have answered this excellent. Now tell me what fields. Okay, listen to my question very carefully. Class number was our primary key. Okay. Now what would the another name for the class field? What kind of key would be class? Again, I am repeating. For example, this class number is a unique key. Okay. It is a unique key. It is a primary key. It is a unique key. It is a primary key. Now tell me what class is. Class is also unique. Correct? Class is also unique. But it is not a primary key, as I have said, because a table can have only one primary key. Of course, we can say something else to this particular column, but not primary key. Tell me, guys. Tell me. Okay. Tell me, guys. Foreign key? No, we cannot call it as foreign key. Candidate key? Okay. और लोग भाई प्लीज ट्राई करो. Everyone. मणिकांत, राजीव, रक्षित, प्रगति, यश, विष्णु, आजिम, दीक्षा, तन्मय, आकांक्षा, आयुषी, रणवीर. Guys, please answer. Candidate key. Yes, this is a candidate key because it could be a primary key, but we have already assigned it as another field as primary key. So this is a candidate key. And trust me, this is a very tricky question, which most of the times even experienced engineers are not able to answer because it's quite a theoretical aspect. But you know, when you are dealing with traditional DBMS systems, you have to define primary keys and you have to put the constraints. So at that places, this concept is important. Cool. So this is a candidate key. Hope you all have a very clear picture of what are the constraints, how we put that, and what are the different type of keys. Correct, Manja. It possesses all the properties of a primary key, including the uniqueness and not null. So that's a candidate key. Perfect. So I think these things are clear. Okay, let's move forward. Let me just get back to my screen. Yeah, I was talking about the where I was talking about the data lifecycle. Yeah. So listen to this very carefully. I was taking example of Amazon, so we have all those informations and everything. And CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, wants to understand how many shoes. He's a very curious guy. Okay, Jeff Bezos is a very curious guy, and he wants to understand. He wants so many information at the same time. He wants to understand how many shoes we have total sold in one day, how many shoes we have total sold in a year, how many shoes we have returned, how many shoes have been costed more than 5,000, how many shoes we have profit of more than 1 lakh. So Jeff Bezos is a very curious guy, okay, and he wants all these sort of informations. And he's saying, I'm ready to take 1 month past data. Like whatever the sales we have done till last month, I'm ready with that information. Just give me all those questions answers. Okay. Now there comes an engineer like me. Okay, sir, let me do something for you. You want answer of all these questions. Let me just query it on live database. Let me just query on the Amazon live database. Okay, I executed the query. Okay, let me check for select the start from orders where where item type equal to shoes. I executed this query. Interesting. There are million of transactions getting in, getting out. There are a million of people who are getting into the data. Like million of people are ordering shoes there. Million of people are returning their shoes at the same time, and other people are buying other stuff, and so many things are going on at the production database. And I am running. Okay, let me just do account star. But during those situations, do you think that is good to just query on a production database where so many things are happening at the same time, so many updates, so many inserts, so many so many inserts and so many updates are happening at the same time? Do you think it's good that place? No, because it could bring down the complete Amazon. If I had done something wrong there, then it could bring down the complete Amazon, but it could break down their system. So that's why we collect that data. Okay, so I would say, okay, sir, give me some time. Let me just collect that data from you from the database, and then on later point of time, we will do something to help you analyze. Okay, so I will collect that data from there. Okay, I will collect the data. I will collect all the sales data, or if business only requires shoes data, I will collect that data from that particular database. So I will take data from the Amazon database with the help of a query, maybe because there are so many queries I want to run. I would not run all the queries on the production. I will simply run, maybe I'm just taking an example. Okay, I will run select star from orders, and I will just extract that information and put it into another table or put it into another database. Okay, I will put it into another database. Fine. So the process of extracting the data from one source, that is data collection. That is job of data engineer. Clear? Data collection समझ आया? Data collection is another word for data collection is called as extraction. So you all will hear about ETL, extract, transform, and load. So extraction is the process of collecting data. Okay. So here E stands for extraction. So what I did, I collected the data from Amazon server. Okay. Now I stored it into another database. I don't store it into a production database because वहाँ भाई बहुत so many things are going on at that place. So I just collected that data and I put it into some other place. Okay. Now, as I said, Jeff Bezos was only interested into shoes. Okay. Or let's take an example. Let's just take an example where he wants to only view about the data, only view about the shoes which are having MRP of more than 5,000. Okay, so here the process of data cleaning comes in. I will only put that data. I would say, okay, I have collected all the sales data from the Amazon server. I have put it into another database. Now Mr. Jeff Bezos only wants to get into the data which is specifically for shoes, which are having MRP of more than 5,000. Or let's suppose you don't want to get into the data for which shoes has already returned. Okay. So what I will do data cleaning as per the business requirement. Business wants that they want only the information for shoes which is more than 5,000. Fine. I will delete other records here. Any problem? No problem, because I'm not touching the live application server. I am doing it on a different environment, right? So business said I want only the information of shoes which is having MRP more than 5,000 and which products are not returned. So I will delete all those information for which the product is returned or for which the shoes MRP is less than 5,000. Okay, so that process is called as data cleaning. I will delete the data which is not important. Okay, now fourth part is data processing. For the data processing, consider now again Jeff Bezos is interested to know how many students, or forget about students, how many people with the age group of 21 years to 25 years have bought the shoes of MRP more than 5,000. Okay, he's interested. Okay, so you all people will be saying, okay, let's delete the data for all other for all other people who are having their date of birth and their age more than 25 and less than 20. Of course we can do that, but there is a catch. In our table we don't have age, we have date of birth. We don't have age, we have date of birth. So the process of calculating the age from the date of birth, that is called as data processing. Okay, extracting meaningful information from that particular field, raw field, that is called as data processing, or that is called as transformation. Data cleaning and data processing comes under transformation. So sometimes we delete the unnecessary rows, sometimes we process those information to get a meaningful information. Clear? Guys, clear about the extraction is data collection, transformation is data cleaning and processing. Getting the age from the date of birth, that is data processing. Data cleaning, deleting unrequired business data, data cleaning. Now, this is good. We have done the extraction, we have done the transformation, and now we need to load the final. Okay, now we need to go into the final part, which is storing that particular data. Okay, with presentation layer, the presentation layer where Mr. Jeff Bezos will get into the actual insights. Okay, so on that table, when we load that data, that is called as load, extract, transform, load, ETL or ELT. ELT में क्या होता है? First we extract, we load, and then we transform. ETL में क्या होता है? First we extract, we transform, then we load. Clear हुआ ये? So this complete process of ETL is the job which data engineers majorly do. ELT or ETL, these two jobs are the responsibilities of data engineer. Clear होगा यहाँ पे? Okay, cool. Okay, we are clear here till ETL. Now data analysis. So data analysis, Mr. Jeff Bezos will not query onto the, of course, into the database. He wants a beautiful pictorial representation. So all these pictorial representation or all these questions which Mr. Jeff Bezos has asked about the shoes. That is responsibility of data analyst. He will create a dashboard for him which will have all these answers. He can select the year, he can select the month, he can select the, of course, price, variety, and many more filters. That depends on the business requirement. So data analyst will create a dashboard where reporting and visualization will happen. Cool. This is the job of data analyst. Now the last level of this data is where comes the role of data scientist. These are the people who will use this particular data to predict what shoes a person of age 24 is going to buy. Clear? So hope you are clear about the complete data life cycle. What is the job role of a data engineer? What is the job role of a data scientist? What is the job role of a data analyst? And what are the stages of a data? It's data collection, it's data storage, it's cleaning, it's processing, it's analysis. Clear? Guys, we are running out of time, so I would request your responses quickly so that I can move on to the next topic. Cool. So we are clear with the data life cycle. Let me get into data warehouses now. So data warehouses क्या होते हैं? So we are all know that databases are for the, as I talked about this Amazon database. Okay, so that is a live database. But data warehouse is a different type of database where we store historical data as well. Or you can say a bigger database where we keep all the information, literally all the information at one place. Okay. Think of an example of Amazon. Okay. Amazon has its warehouses. What are warehouses? Warehouses are the place where they store frequently bought items. Okay. Surf Excel, for example. Surf Excel is a frequently bought item. So Surf Excel would be stored into their warehouse. Similarly, in data engineering or in data science world, whatever is frequently required in terms of data for reporting and analytics purpose or for AI and ML purpose, that we store in data warehouse. Warehouse is a different sort of database which has a bigger capacity, which is specifically for data analyst, data analytics and reporting purpose. Clear what is data warehouse, how it is different from a database? Any confusion? भाई किसी को नहीं आ रहा है तो just please say can you repeat or something like that. See, there is no point of rushing if I'm unable to clear out the things. It's okay if we would need more days to complete this particular session. Cool. So we are clear with the data warehouses. Now, data lake. Databases में we store data in form of rows and columns. In data warehouses, we store data in form of rows and columns. But let's suppose I want to store an image. Where I will store an image? I can store it into Google Drive. I can store it into phone storage. Simply, I would say I can store it into blob storage. Blob storage stands for binary large object storage. So whatever the storage we have, it's mostly it's blob only. It's your memory card, it's your Google Drive. They are all blob, binary large object storage. Okay. So data lake is a place, simple you can consider it as, in layman words, it's your computer storage, it's your another storage where we can store images, we can store JSONs, and for the structured data, we can store structured data into a different format. Okay. Or for now, don't get into format. Simply understand it as we can store structured data, we can store semi-structured data, we can store unstructured data. Matlab, it's kind of a folder where we can store image, we can store JSON, we can store databases as well. Clear? Data lake. Okay. Now let me get into पहली बात ये, okay, so first thing is this, that databases are for production servers or for applications. Data warehouses is for analytic and reporting purpose. When we talk about the difference between data lake and data warehouses, data lake allows us to store unstructured and semi-structured data, while we can't store the unstructured and semi-structured data into data warehouses. And the another difference between data lake and data warehouse is, data warehouse is a different kind of database, but data lake is a kind of storage where we have compute and storage different altogether. ये क्या बोल दिया भैया ने? Okay. So in data lake, we can store the files. Okay, we can store so many files. We can store JSON, we can store image, we can store anything. Think of it like a hard disk. Okay, we have a hard disk which is a data lake. We can store anything. I can open it from i3 processor, I can open it from i5 processor, I can open it from i7 processor, I can open it from any other processor. I have this flexibility that I can improve the compute to connect to my storage and retrieve that information, right? But we don't have that capacity in databases and data warehouses. If we will scale in terms of compute and storage both at the same time. That means storage and compute is coupled. But in data lake, storage and compute is not coupled. Clear? Nahi clear hai to I will repeat it. This is an important thing. And trust me, it is not at all related to SQL. It is some advanced, I would say, data science stuff. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. We know SQL Server. Okay. When we talk about SQL Server, if I want to increase the capacity, then I have to increase the complete configuration of a database. Is it clear? If I want to increase the capacity of my database, I need to increase the storage and compute both. Simply forget about storage and compute. If I want to store more data, I have to increase the size of it. Okay, so consider it as कि I can't increase the compute and storage at a different scale. I have to increase both at the same time. How I should take it as? Okay, let's suppose there is a company. I'm just taking a very vague example. This is not at all a real scenario. Okay, let's suppose there is company Oracle. We all know. Okay, Oracle sells their database. All right. I have taken Oracle database for storing 1 trillion rows. Okay, I have taken Oracle database for storing 1 trillion rows. So for 1 trillion rows, let's suppose Oracle has given me i5 processor with some storage to store 1 trillion rows. Now, if I ask Oracle, I need to store 1.1 trillion rows with i5 processor only. Oracle will say no. I will give you some offering that, okay, you can store this much of data with this much of compute. You can't say I want this compute and I want this storage. Both are coupled. You need to take both at the same time. Clear? Ye clear hai? Ki both storage and compute are coupled. Cool. So I'm just taking an example. This is not something Oracle is doing. Okay, I'm just taking a very vague example, and this is how databases are designed. It's not something which companies are doing. This is how databases are designed. When it comes to data warehouse as well, for data warehouses as well, we have to increase storage and compute at the same time. Clear? Sometimes in some cases in modern data warehouses, we have capacity to, increase storage at a different scale and increase compute at a different scale. But in legacy systems or in general systems, we have to increase both at the same time for data warehouses. Is it clear? Clear. Perfect. Now it comes to the data lake. So data lake is nothing. Simply think it like your hard disk. Simply think it like your hard disk, external hard disk. Now I am putting into i7. I am using compute capacity of i7. Now I am putting it into i5. I am using compute capacity of i5. This is flexibility of data lake. In data lake, I am putting images, I am putting audio, I am putting JSON, I am putting tables. How we are putting tables? I will let you know guys later. Trust me on this, I will explain you how we are putting tables there. But clear that we can increase the storage differently, we can increase the compute differently. Clear है? Cool. Okay. यहाँ तक we are clear. What is data lake, what is data warehouses? So data lake stores raw data, stores process data. Sometimes we stores the process data as well in data lake. Flexible format, of course, flexible format because we can store images, we can store JSON, we can store a data in form of rows and columns. Low cost storage, cost बहुत ज़्यादा cost कम हो जाती है. Use for big data, use for analytics. These are some basic differences. And guys, please study about this if you get some spare time, like what are the differences between data lake and data warehouses, computation coupled and decoupled computation, what I talked about with you all folks right away. Now, what is Databricks? Can we take this tomorrow, or you guys want to go ahead with it? I think this is pretty much for today. We can get into all these things tomorrow if you want, or we can go ahead with it right away. Tomorrow. Anybody who wants to get into it now? Tomorrow. Okay, let me just share a poll with you folks. Please answer it. Guys, please do answer it. Okay, you can tell the definition of Databricks. Arya for telling, let's finish the introduction of Databricks. Okay. For Databricks introduction, I need to tell you all a big story for it. Okay, we can cover it up. For now, just please help me with the poll answers. Guys, please answer. I have received only 9 responses so far, and we are 21 people here. Awaiting at least 8 more responses, please. This is not a college lecture. If you want to leave, you can, or else be attentive. Nothing sort of attendance here. Okay. I want my team members as well to respond. Okay, cool. So I have received 15 responses, and out of that, 10 people have voted it as good, and few people have voted it as slow, few have fast, we have advanced. All right. Okay. So let's get into the Databricks introduction, then we will wind up it. So Databricks is a unified platform which we use for data engineering, data analytics, and data science. ये तो हो गई definition, ठीक है? But why do we need Databricks? What are the capabilities of Databricks? And what makes Databricks different from others? So for this, let's again go to Amazon. For Amazon, there are so many people doing shopping, so there is so much of data. Okay, and let's just think of, okay, for a single transaction, let's suppose my system is taking 1 second. Okay, my system is taking 1 second to process a query, whatever query I'm writing. My system is taking 1 second to process that query. So 10 million transactions in a hour, let's suppose. So 10 million seconds, right? So that's a time consuming thing. If I am doing it with Python, if I'm doing it with Java, if I'm doing it with any other language, there could be some language differences, like it's a compiler based language, it's an interpreter based language. Of course, there could be differences on that side. It could be a bit of slow, a bit of fast. But when we talk about Databricks, so Databricks uses Spark. And what Spark does is, Spark works on parallel computing. What it does, like for example, if I said do 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 to Databricks or Spark, what Spark will do, Spark has multiple executors. I don't want to get into this executors or something. Consider it as take it as an example of cores of your CPU. Okay, so what Databricks will say, all the cores, it will divide some information, that one core, let's do 2 plus 2, another core, let's do 2 plus 4, another core, let's do 6 plus 8. Okay, so there would be a driver would divide this task into multiple nodes. Now nodes will calculate it, and then driver will accumulate it and give it back to the user. So what it is doing, it is dividing and conquering your problem. So don't think it like a divide and conquer, it's basically parallel processing. Okay, so it's basically giving your task to multiple executors, and those executors are performing their duties, and they are giving back it to driver, and it's giving you information. Sometimes what it does, it says 2 plus it gives one executor 2 plus 2, it gives 2 plus 4 to another, it gives 6 plus 8 to another. Now there is some executor who is very fast. He said, okay, I'm done with 2 plus 2. What it will say, okay, give this information to me, but executor B is doing 2 plus 6. He is not able to do that. Can you do that quickly? Okay, he said, I will do that. Whomsoever will give him the result fast, he will take that result and forget about the other person. Okay, so in this way, it is not doing like a normal calculation. It is doing it parallelly. It is giving the same job sometimes to multiple nodes. It is sometimes dividing that particular job to multiple nodes and then calculating the complete information. Okay, this is a Spark. So Databricks is a company which is created by the creators of PySpark only, or Spark, which is using the capacity of a Spark to process the data. Okay, so Databricks is a platform which is using the capabilities of PySpark to process the data. We can code it in Python, we can code it in SQL, we can code it in R. So if I will click on code here, you can see we can code it in SQL, we can code in Python. Of course, there are other languages, but they might be not supported here in Notebook. But yeah, as of now, I remember we can use R, SQL, Python. So Databricks is a platform where we can do processing. We can store data into data lake. We can right now it has capabilities of course, model training, model fine tuning, and so many other capabilities of AI as well. So it's a one-stop solution for data, BI, and AI. Okay. Hope it gave you a bit of idea what Databricks is. Not a very clear picture, but what somewhat Databricks is, as the name suggests, bricks of data. While working with this complete session, you will be able to understand what exactly Databricks is and why we are using Databricks instead of the normal Python. So we will maybe later point of time we will understand it, but for now, during this week, our agenda is specifically to get into SQL. I haven't covered much of SQL today, so we will start with DDL or DML something from tomorrow. OLTP, OLAP. We will, I think, we will talk about it OLAP and OLTP tomorrow, or we can. Okay, we can quickly cover OLAP and OLTP as well. I won't get into much of details. So OLTP is simply the production database of Amazon. Any database which is having the application, live running application, and which are having the transactions happening in the real time, that is OLTP. Okay, online transaction. What is OLTP? Online transaction protocol. Transactions. Yeah, OLTP is online TP. Yeah, or online transaction process something. Yeah. Sorry, online transactional platform. Yeah. Then OLAP online analytical platform. Okay. So OLTP is kind of live the databases where live applications are running. OLAP is the data warehouses or data lake where we dump all the data for analytical and reporting purpose. Clear about OLAP and OLTP? Online transactional processing. Okay. Clear? OLAP and OLTP is clear? Okay, cool. So I think we are clear with OLAP and OLTP. OLTP is for the application, OLAP is for the data warehousing and for the reporting purposes. Fine, I think liner, run the business, analyze the business. OLTP is for running the business, OLAP is for analyzing. Analytical platform like for data warehousing, for analytical purpose for AIML. So we do in OLAP. OLTP is for transactions, of course, handles daily transaction, banking systems and other use OLTP. And for reporting, we use OLAP. So I think we are clear with all the theoretical parts. We will start with the queries tomorrow. We will get into the basics of what SQLs, what are DMLs, what are DDLs, and we'll start with it. This notebook will be shared with you, my team, in a couple of minutes, or you will receive this notebook by morning tomorrow. Give some time to it, and we will discuss the other parts later.
This notebook would be shared by tomorrow in WhatsApp community. If you haven't joined the WhatsApp community, I am sharing the link. Please join it.
And one more feedback, guys. Okay, let me create an anonymous poll, or else you guys won't respond. Okay, this is the last question, and then we will wind up. And I want response from everyone. Please. This will give me a genuine feedback of what we can improve. And if you have any suggestions, any feedbacks, just go to Databricks user Noida, and there you can click on contact us button and fill the form. That would reach to us. Or if you want to connect with me, just search me on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to connect with you folks.
Also, you can join the discussions on event page and connect with the people.
And feel free to drop your queries in the journal section of our WhatsApp community as well. Okay, only 10 responses, guys. I'm expecting at least 18. All right. That was all from our end. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all. We are ending this session.